So I started by putting my decal on my jar where I wanted it. So just make sure that there are no bubbles and that it's pressed down nicely. One of the tricks to working with vinyl is just making sure that your edges aren't lifted. You will see that there are bubbles. So just start from the top and then smooth it down. And then I like to just use the heat from my hands to really rub it down and make sure that we're staying all the way down. So you can freehand this if you would like, or you can do what I'm going to do. I'm going to use painter's tape. You could use masking tape. And I'm going to create some stripes for myself. And I am going to put my tape right over the design. So, and then as we peel away layers of tape and block off new layers, we'll get all around it. So I'm just going to start, and I'm not going to put my edge on the vinyl because I don't want to accidentally pull it off, but I'm going to just start here and try to get it nice and even. And same as with the decal, I'm just going to make sure that I don't have bubbles on my edges as best as I can. It's probably not going to be perfect, but that's why you can go in, I'll show you later, you can go in with like a permanent marker or a paint pen and you can create some details and lines. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do another stripe. You can add as many stripes as you want. You can also do, I've given you the inspiration picture. You can see the inspiration picture. One of them is just a color block, and the other one is stripes. So I'm going to just do the stripes. Again, I'm smoothing it down, trying to prevent any bubbles. So what we'll do is we're going to paint, and then we'll block off when everything is dry, and then we'll block off the other parts, and then we'll paint new. So what I'm going to try to do is, I don't know if you've seen the paint projects where you make it look like terracotta by adding baking soda to your paint. So I have my white and my blue, and I'm going to start with the white. I'm going to add baking soda to it and just mix it up and see how the texture works. I don't really know what the ratio is here, so I'm just tapping it. So I'm going to use my sponge brush and I'm going to gently dab it on. It's up to you if you want to paint the lid or not as well. I probably will just paint it white, which looks nice, and we're going to paint all the way to the rim. Alright, so this is just easy peasy. We're just going to paint. And then the look on the glass sometimes is kind of streaky, which honestly is fine for me because it's got that distressed look and it's not perfect. It's kind of rustic, it's beachy, right? Which is what we're going for. This is totally a beachy sort of craft. Oh yeah, and I can see, I don't know how well this will focus, but you can see the baking soda is giving it a little bit of a different texture, a little gritty. And so this is very, very streaky because it's paint on glass and it's not really a glass paint. So I'm just going to try to be even and careful with my strokes, and I'll do 2 coats. The second coat will come off even better. And then if you want it to be more opaque, you can continue with more coats. That's entirely up to you. But also, I did include in the instructions, and I'm not sure because I haven't finished this craft yet, where we're gonna go. If you want, you can use sandpaper to do some distressing on the glass, and again, that adds to the distressed look, that beachy, weathered look. And I always say this, one of the things that I love about working with acrylic is that it does dry fast, so I can already see my first little layer here on the other side, how it's looking. And you do want it to dry completely before you start trying to go over it again, because sometimes, especially with acrylic, it does kind of start to pull. You know, the wet acrylic tries to take off some of the drying acrylic. But yes, there's my first coat, and I'm just going to keep going. When you get to the textured part over here where you have the measurements, I like to really just dab it in. That's one of the nice things about working with the sponge. Just dab it in and keep going. And again, that's another thing that looks nice when you hit it with the sandpaper and you can get the glass showing through the paint with the numbers where it's raised. It looks really nice. Okay, so I'm gonna let this dry. I'll do some more coats until I'm satisfied, and then we'll come back when it's dry and we'll switch our tape over and we'll do the next set of stripes. So I'm just kind of doing, I think this will be my last layer. I'm kind of doing a lot of dabbing here. A lot of swiping is creating some streaks, which I don't love, but it's up to you how you want it to look. But the dabbing seems to work pretty nicely with the texture of the baking soda paint. So you can see there are some spots where it was not completely dried, and so when I go over it, it kind of is pulling it away. So I'm just gonna let that dry a little bit more. This is creating a really nice texture with the baking soda. I really like it, and I think it'll go with the beachy theme. Okay, so I don't want to wait until this is totally dry because I am afraid that the paint might peel off with the tape. So I'm going to look for my edges now, and I'm going to peel away my first layer of tape and see what we got. Be careful around your decal. Right, so my decal is kind of lifting with the tape, so I'm going to just pull that back carefully. Alright. And there we go. So there's my first piece of tape. Put that off to the side, and I'm just going to press my decal back down gently. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to do the next one. Make sure your hands are clean. I do have some little bleeding lines here. You can clean that up with a Q-tip. You can leave it because we are going to paint another layer of color. It's up to you. Okay, so just make sure your decal is pressed down. I need to do a little adjusting. Wash your hands. Unlike me, I'm just kind of going in and letting it get messed up. But I'm gonna let this dry completely before I go in with my blue layer. So it's gonna take a little bit of time, but that's okay, it will be worth it. In the meantime, wash out your brush so that it's dry and ready for your next colors. Okay, so I'm going to put my masking tape right where we started. I hope that this works. I hope that this doesn't pull this up, but I'll be very, very gentle. So it's not perfect, but it's fine. You can be a little bit more meticulous about lining your tape up than I am. Right, I've got like a little boo-boo here, but... Alright. So I'm gonna go in. I mixed my paint with my baking soda. I don't know if I love this color. I might want to add some white to it. I think it's just a bit too bright for me. Well, I can do one coat and see where we go. All right, here we go. Be careful. Your decal, pat, 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 instead of doing the side to side. You know what? I don't know. Maybe I want to desaturate the blue and add some black. I'm not sure. I will give you white, blue, and a little bit of black so you can make that decision yourself to customize your color however you would like. This is your craft. So I'll give you a little bit of all three so that you can decide what you want to do. Right from the get-go, I'm going to do the stippling motion on this to see how that works better. Or doesn't. But also the stippling helps me, rather than the swiping, helps me watch my edges of the tape here, which are not sticking down as well because of the texture of the white paint underneath. And then just like last time, we have to let the layers dry in order to get better, more full coverage. So here we go with my second stripe, and again, when it comes to this decal here, I'm going to tap, 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 because if I swipe, I'm pushing paint underneath anywhere where it may have lifted a little bit, and it has. Okay, and just like last time, I'll let this dry for a couple minutes, then I'll do another coat. I'm gonna play around with the color while I'm waiting for this to dry. Okay, I've mixed a drop of white and a drop of black and some more blue into here, and I've got a little bit more of a navy color. I think I like that better. While I'm waiting for this to dry so I can do my next layer, I'm going to put white on this little shape that I have here, this wooden cutout charm. I'm also going to paint my cap while we're at it. Oh yeah, I like that color much better. And it is going to kind of blend with some of my other blue because it's not totally dry yet. That's okay. Okay, so just like last time, I'm going to go ahead and peel this off before it's entirely dry. I'm going to be careful because I want to make sure that this did not stick to my white layer. Oh, it did not. Very nice. You can see I do have some spots that are kind of uneven that I may want to fix up. I don't need to be as careful, I think, this time when I'm peeling around the decal, because we are going to take the decal off now. I've got a little box cutter here just to lift this up and get access to underneath it. There it is. Alright, so you're just going to peel carefully. You might need to do it in stages. Here we go. Any little spots where you had mishaps like I did, you can use a Q-tip in rubbing alcohol. It's actually not that bad. You can use a Q-tip in rubbing alcohol and then go in with a finer brush to do touch-ups. I'm going to wash my hands and then we will tackle that together. Okay, so let's see. I've actually got a paintbrush with some water and I'm going to touch that up. Let's see if I can. Because it's glass, it is actually coming right off, which is nice. Alright, so I'm going to let this all dry overnight and then I will come back and finish it up. Okay, so it has been a little while. If you were on the email list for this project, you know it has certainly been a little longer than expected for me to finish this project. But Licorice says thank you for your patience. So what I did is, I actually, now that this is all put together, I like the textured paint. I was not sure about the textured paint, so I went in and I tested the paint without the texture on it, and it's fine. Same thing, you'll need to do a couple of coats. What I ended up doing with this one was I did the 2 coats of the textured paint, and then when that was really completely dry, you know, give it an hour or so, more than we were doing before. I mean, I gave it a week, but give it some time, give it a couple of hours. I went over with the regular paint. So don't mix all of your paint with the baking soda if you want to do the texture. You don't have to do the texture. You can just do the plain, and it still dries matte looking. So I did 2 coats here. I would do a 3rd coat. You could see that the white was not completely dry and I went over it and it pulled some away. And then you can, if you've got a steady hand, you can see here, you could do a black line. I don't have a steady hand. You could do that here. I didn't feel like I needed it. So you could do a line. In the inspiration picture, they did gold. But anyway, then I just put my twine around the neck of the jar. I put my shape in there. Everyone has different shapes for the wood decor, but everybody has an anchor for the rest of it. And yeah, that's it. So this will look really nice with a battery-powered candle in it. You can also put some sand in here, and then your anchor will really stand out. But I love the look with a battery-powered candle in here, and the anchor lights up. It's so beautiful. But I was skeptical of the textured paint look before, and then remember I did say that you could go in and you can distress with some sandpaper, and then you really have that sort of rustic, kind of chic, distressed look going on, where you don't have to. But that is it. That is our project for this month. Thank you everybody who got the kit for waiting. So again, you have options. You can do the baking soda textured paint, and then it's nice. You have the smooth glass from the anchor underneath, and then you have this sort of rough, almost ceramic look here. Or you can do it plain and just have the matte paint. So I gave you plenty of paint so you can decide what you want to do. And then the other thing is that I removed the little dot here, and again, rubbing alcohol, you can chip it off, you can use an X-Acto knife, a sharp edge, or your fingernails. And I just kind of cleaned everything up with a smaller brush, and now I really like the way it looks. All right, give it a try. Let me know how you do with your project, and I hope that you all have fun. We'll see you next month for a new project.